I'm also just a girl standing in front of a boy, asking him to love her.
Welcome to FlixPop Movie Club Podcast, your best source anywhere for the best movie talk. Each week we tackle a specific movie genre based on the choice of our in-studio guest. And I'm your host, Paul Pastante, and there's literally nowhere else in the world, and I mean nowhere, that I'd rather be than right here, right now, with all of you here in beautiful Kinnelon, New Jersey at the famous Sausage Hut Studios. Kinnelon, New Jersey. As always, behind the glass is Tony T. Nothing happens here without Tony T. How are you doing, my friend?
What's going on there, TikTok Paul?
Oh, nothing. I'm just chilling out, chilling like a villain, doing our show. And I'm so psyched, Tony T, because today is rom-coms. And as you guys know, I'm a huge rom-com fan. I've watched all the movies, and, I think that this genre, more than any other genre, is one that really, really affects a certain demographic that really enjoys these types of films. So today in the studio, nurse practitioner, public speaker, and the host of the Reset podcast, my friend, rom-com movie nut, Stefanie Shore. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing great.
Excellent. Welcome. Are you ready to do this?
I am so ready.
So, first of all, you're a nurse practitioner. Tell us what you do. Tell us what that means, because, when you first told me you were a nurse practitioner, I glazed over. I had no idea what the hell you were talking about. Tell us what you do.
So a nurse practitioner is a nurse that has advanced practice skills. So we're able to diagnose and prescribe medicine similar to a physician with that caring approach. And right now I'm in nephrology, which is kidney disease, and I do a lot of education and teaching of chronic diseases and illnesses. And I've kind of taken that into my speaking career, where I help people to do the ultimate reset so they don't feel stuck and they could really think about how they want to change their lives and move forward in a happy, confident way.
So everybody out there, you need to look up Stefanie on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, and all the social media platforms. You do a great job. You're always on there. And not only are you on there, because a lot of people are online doing the social media and everything, but I tune into you because you give me hacks for how to deal with life, maybe things that I of course I knew them before, maybe. Right? I mean,
right.
All the things we talk about, they're not original ideas, but they are maybe as human beings, we kind of wander off the reservation from time to time, and, we lose our way. And to hear somebody like yourself bring forth these things when perhaps you had forgotten them or weren't doing them is really helpful. I appreciate you. I appreciate watching you and learning every day, every single day. And I think our listeners, should go and follow you as well. So let's play a game.
Okay.
Shall we? Okay.
Sure.
So we're about to play yes, no, either, or. But before we do, I should mention that the Movie Club podcast is brought to you by the Greenwood Lake Marina, Cardinal Tours, Spaziani's Catering, Monica's Restaurant, the FlixPop radio show on WGHT and WTBQ, as well as the Reset with Stefanie Shore podcast and Tony T's Road Show podcast. Ready to get into this, Stefanie?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, no, either or brings us the opportunity to learn a little bit more about each week's in-studio guest. I'm going to ask Stefanie a series of rapid-fire questions that will require a yes, no, or an either or response. Tony T, let's do an example. What do you think?
Okie doke.
All right, buddy. Mayonnaise or ketchup?
Either or.
I got to go with the ketchup.
Spinal Tap or Beetlejuice?
Beetlejuice.
You know what? I'm going Spinal Tap on that. So
I'm the musician. I should.
You should. I'm not.
But that little head. I mean, I just.
No, it's really cool. A little head is always great.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
I don't know about that.
Sorry about that. I don't know. You threw me a softball. That was too easy.
It's quick.
And we didn't even plan that off the air.
Quick as a whip. Right?
Yeah. Okay. So ever been ghosted? Yes or no?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Everybody got it? You got the game?
Yeah,
got the game?
I got the game.
Okay. Today's category is
Romantic comedies.
Okay. Everyone place your trays in the upright position. and prepare for impact. Okay, Stefanie, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days or Clueless?
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
When Harry Met Sally or You've Got Mail?
When Harry Met Sally.
You know, I think that When Harry Met Sally is a genre-busting and genre-really defining film. It's one of the best ones of all time, obviously, with the best quote and the best scene, you know, because I feel like with rom-coms, one of the things that makes them great, they all have this like iconic and classic scene that everybody can kind of recite like in their sleep, and that's, you know, I'll have what she's having.
I'll have what she's having.
Thing. Down with Love or As Good as It Gets?
As Good as It Gets.
Listen, when you think about Jack Nicholson, you don't necessarily think about rom-coms, right?
Well, you know, it's interesting. You don't, but he, everybody knows that kind of grouchy Scrooge-ish guy that people still love.
And he works really great with Helen Hunt, even though and I loved her in Twister, and you know, and also
Mad About You,
which was the sitcom, right, with Riser and everything, and you know, that was an unlikely kind of pairing. I felt like Jack Nicholson and Helen Hunt, but it worked really, really, really great. 13 Going on 30 or My Best Friend's Wedding?
Oh, 13 Going on 30, hands down.
I think so too. It's in my top 5. I know, spoiler alert, but but that's definitely a great movie. Annie Hall, you know, obviously that's a classic rom-com, one of the first, you know, early ones. Or 50 First Dates.
I'm gonna go with 50 First Dates. I love Adam Sandler.
I loved Adam Sandler too. That was a great movie, and the concept of it, it's like Groundhog Day meets rom-com, right?
Oh God, yeah, I just saw Groundhog Day actually.
Yeah, and that could be too. That could be a rom-com. That could be a rom-com too.
Yeah.
Down with Love or Love Actually?
Love Actually.
While You Were Sleeping or Pretty Woman?
Pretty Woman.
Which one, Roy Orbison or the Van Halen version?
Van Halen.
Because I saw you sing it, so it's the Van Halen. So the Roy Orbison version is pretty cool. Have you heard it? Or do you know? I mean, we thought it was Van Halen that wrote the song, but but they did not.
I'm learning something.
Yes or yes. Oh, so you thought that? What year were you born?
1979.
Oh, see, that's, you know.
She should know, though.
She should know, though, I think, at that 7, you know.
I was sleeping.
Okay, you were. I mean, you know, first of all, Roy Orbison, Tony T, was a weird looking dude, was he not?
I don't get that whole black thing, and I mean, just kind of pale, and
you know what I'm saying?
A lot of hair dye,
and those glasses and the weird hair with it was obviously Hair Club for Men was brushed into that sucker. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But you can't say anything about him, right? Negative, or the music people kind of rip you up.
Oh, listen, everybody loves Roy Orbison. It's like libraries, puppies, and Roy Orbison. You know, you can't say shit, okay, about any of them without getting like piled on social media. Okay, Clueless or Moonstruck?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I'm gonna go with Clueless though.
Yeah. So this is why this is a great exercise, because I feel like, and look, I know, listen, folks out there, Stefanie's taken. She's off the market. She's engaged to be married. Okay. So you can't, you know, don't get any ideas. Okay. But like if you're out there and you're like going on a date or something, right? And you're having that first initial, and this is good conversation for like the rom-com genre. So you're out on the date, you're in the restaurant. This is like you're dancing around trying to get to know each other, and certain things about people give you an insight or an introspection into their heart, into their mind, into how they think, right? And when you look at a choice like Clueless or Moonstruck, it says a little bit about you, which one you're going to choose.
Right,
you know what I'm
absolutely,
saying? 100%. So when you say Clueless now, Moonstruck, that has Cher in it, that's a really, really influential movie in this genre, and you know, it's an Academy Award-winning, you know, film. She wins the Academy Award in it, and but then you talk about Clueless, and again, Clueless, it's another one. So
and it's lighthearted.
Yeah, it is
a little more lighthearted.
A little bit just less heavy,
yes,
if you will.
Yeah,
you know, and if you choose Clueless or Moonstruck, I know a little bit about you. Okay.
Oh, cool.
10 Things I Hate About You, or How Stella Got Her Groove Back.
Definitely 10 Things I Hate About You. Yeah. I mean, when she reads that poem in that classroom, I mean, I think every woman felt that.
Pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter,
And man.
and man.
Yeah, I just
That was definitely shoved out on that one.
goes
Tony
back
T.
to some healing.
Great movie.
Yeah.
4 weddings and a funeral, or something's gotta give. And this is from the category of never ask the question unless you know what the answer is. I think I know what the answer is. So I'm going to go ahead and answer for you that it's something's got to give. Am I right?
Of course.
Okay. This is one of your favorite movies, right? No? Yeah? Yes? No? So, like, the thing is, and we talk about this in every show, people, when they come on my show
Yeah.
with Tony T and myself, or they come on the radio show or something like that, we always hang out beforehand, and we do like certain things and everything. And you and I, this past week, we went skeet shooting, and I thought that was really great because I got to know you a little bit more doing the skeet shooting and throwing those things in the air, and like that was really cool. And then we went to the petting zoo.
That was fun.
That was fun.
Oh my
right?
God, so much fun.
The alpaca, right? The baby alpaca and all that. So
know.
while we were doing all of this, Stefanie, she was telling me about the movies that she loves, and so this is it. I know what the answer to this one is too. Notting Hill or Shaun of the Dead.
I don't know. What do you think, Paul?
I think it's Notting Hill.
I don't know.
But the whole thing, well, you know why? Because you told me, right? When you were like, when the alpaca was like, oh, forget about it. For the proposal or Romancing the Stone?
The proposal.
Romancing the Stone is good.
Yeah.
That is really good. I mean, there's 2 people, they're divorced, right? I know. They're divorced, and so that's the beauty of podcast, Tony T. Things going on. You can't really see it. Although we have the video set up.
There's plenty of cameras in the room.
There's plenty of cameras in the room. So there's an eyewitness account.
I almost pulled out that guitar and started playing it.
Do you know how to play guitar?
I don't know, but I'm going to learn right now.
First of all, you can't help but wanting to play the guitar. Like when you walk into like Tony T's place, you're like,
I'm
holy
looking at Van Halen, and that's because of you. That's my theme song.
Yes.
Jump is my theme song.
Yes. That was what we were playing as we were walking into the petting zoo. That was playing on the back. So.
I always have it in my cell phone in my pocket. They're like, "Where's this music coming?"
Yeah. All right. So thank you for doing that exercise with me. I appreciate it, folks. She's a nurse practitioner. Yeah. They're all serious people. Yeah, we got her in the podcast on Sunday morning. Oh, I shouldn't say Sunday morning, right, Tony? Because now we can't use this in the future for
Thursday morning
for subtense. It's Thursday morning. So I wanted to talk to you about the genre specifically here, and discuss some things about the romantic comedies that make them so damn good, and maybe a few examples maybe that fit into a few of these. And there are things about every movie genre and things about the movies that are within those genres that are really make up what they are in essence and the core elements of what goes into a movie. And in the case of rom-coms, to me, there's really 3. The love story, the central plot, that revolves around romance. Usually it's between 2 main characters. I thought they were going to say between 2 humans, but it's 2025. So
I think that's been taken off the list. Yeah,
yeah, but we can't even reference that anymore, right?
No, we can now again.
Tony T,
we're back.
Strike that from the record. Strike that from the record. Okay, so but the other one is humor. I mean, obviously romantic comedy. It would not be a rom-com unless there was comedy involved that's infused through witty dialogue, situational humor, amusing character interactions, if you will, And then the last one that's almost in every single one is like conflict and resolution. There's typically some misunderstanding, external obstacle, personal flaw, whatever it is that keeps the couple apart before a satisfying resolution. What are some of those? Like, if you talk about as good as it gets. Your things are personal flaws. Keeping them apart. Jack Nicholson's absolute insane ADHD and stuff that he had. You saw that movie?
I did see that movie. But you know it much better than I do.
You know what? I just like Jack Nicholson, and I was young enough to see him in The Shining. And he takes the axe and he like bats through the door and he like sticks his face through there and he goes, "I'm home, honey, I'm home." And it's like now,
I'm home.
Now
Isn't it Here's Johnny?
Here's Johnny. Yeah, right. Here's
Come on,
Johnny.
Paul, you're a movie guy.
No, I know, but that's not a rom-com though. And I've been in the rabbit hole of rom-coms now for like ever since. So we booked this. I think it was like 2 months ago.
Right.
And so every day for 2 months, I've been diving down the rom-com genre to really get to know it because we don't just show up at the show, Tony T, and then we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Now I know why you've kind of been looking at me that way, Paul.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I watched 13 going on 30 last night.
You did.
I did.
Great movie.
It's a great movie.
Great movie. Hockey, kind of a sports movie too. Like you can make the argument. I mean, if you wanted to throw it into that, but great rom-com. Great rom-com.
How to lose the guy in 10 days. What you're thinking of.
No. Isn't whatever. Okay. So, all right, let's go into tropes.
Okay.
All right. So the most common tropes that are in a romantic comedy movie.
Opposites attract.
So two characters, contrasting personalities. They fall for each other. A couple of movies in that, again, going back to As Good as It Gets, those two being opposite, Helen Hunt and Jack Nicholson. Romancing the Stone, Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner, complete opposites. Pretty Woman, Richard Gere, Julia Roberts.
Yes.
Total opposites. You've Got Mail, Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan. Even like Grease.
Oh,
Henry
yes,
Winkler and Olivia Newton-John in Grease
Oh.
are two complete opposites. What
Yeah.
others can you think of? Tony T, can you think of any opposites attract trope?
I'd have to think about that a little bit.
They're almost all that. You can
10
almost,
Things I Hate About You, right?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Did you say that one?
No, did
Okay.
not say that one. Common trope number 2 for rom-com movies
Fake dating.
is the fake dating trope. So a couple pretends to be together for some reason, only is that when they get together, they develop real feelings and they get together.
I
For real.
I love when that happens.
That's awesome, right?
Right.
That's like, somebody says, "Hey, I bet you can't go out with her."
Yes.
So you're like, "Hey, let me ask her out and see if I can." And she says yes, and now you won the bet. But you know what? You don't want to just leave.
Right.
You start to like the person, right? You ever have that happen
In real life?
in real life?
I think I did, and I remember I dated this guy, and we wanted to get into he needed to get into a club in the Hamptons, and I did, and I was like, all right, it'll just be the summer, that type of thing.
Oh, right. And then all of a sudden,
The summer of us.
yeah. It's like some of those ones where I don't know the kid movies, and he's gonna go to the dance. He doesn't think he can be asked, and somebody puts somebody else up to it. They ask him, and they're doing it for a favor or whatever, and then they fall for them. These the fake dating trope, which is pretty common.
Yeah.
Here's some more. Pretty Woman. That's a fake dating trope when you think about it, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He takes her out. She's not a prostitute in terms of everybody else,
Right.
and it's really a fake thing. Another one is 10 Things I Hate About You, Tony's favorite movie off the air. He told me that he watches it like 210 times just last year alone, and it's definitely one of those a modern high school take on a classic Shakespearean play featuring the fake dating scenario, The Proposal. 2009, Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds star. There's a fake marriage is used to help one of them stay in the country. That's another one, right? You're going to marry me so you can gain citizenship, and we have to like maintain this, kind of facade when we're in public, and yet all of a sudden, now you're into it.
Friends turn into lovers.
Friends to lovers trope. The friends to lovers trope. It's like longtime friends realize they have deeper feelings. Can you think of any, Tony T?
Actually, I cannot.
So
Harry met Sally.
That could be one. Yes. Now here's another one, basically kind of a little different than that. Enemies to lovers.
Enemies turn into lovers.
Enemies to lovers trope. That's the You've Got Mail, right? That's
Yes,
where they're
that's
enemies,
You've Got Mail.
right? 10
Yes.
Things I Hate About You. Again, Tony T's favorite movie. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days is one. And there's the You've Got Mail. It's there. So, and then have you ever heard of the
Meet cute.
meet cute trope?
Explain it.
An amusing or unusual first meeting between the love interests in a film. So, like, you said one of your favorite movies is Serendipity.
Yes.
So
yes.
during the Christmas season,
Yes.
Cusack and Beckinsale,
Go
have
for
one of the
same glove.
sweetest meet cutes when they both reach for a pair of cashmere gloves
Mm-hmm.
in Bloomingdale's. They lock eyes, Stephanie,
Yes, they do.
and their attraction to each other is undeniable.
Undeniable.
How about The Wedding Planner? That's a good one,
That's
too.
a good one.
Yeah, Enemies.
Oh.
The most successful wedding planners in New York City finds herself in a damsel in distress situation when her shoe gets stuck in the street and she nearly gets hit by a dumpster. In a classic meet cute fashion, she's saved from sudden death by the handsome Steve, played by Matthew McConaughey. And then the other one, Love Actually, kind of comes to mind.
Yes. I even thought of Made in Manhattan.
Yeah, Made in Manhattan. Yeah, absolutely. Love Actually, pretty good. Most awkward yet endearing meet cutes is where Hugh Grant, he's like the minister, Prime Minister of England. He's introduced to his staff and meets Natalie, his new assistant. And while shaking his hand, Natalie actually calls him by his first name and then nervously sprouts a string of curse words to make up for her mistake. So she just freaks out in front of this guy.
Yeah.
Great meet cute. And then the last one of the last ones for tropes,
Miscommunication.
a misunderstanding that happens that causes conflict but is eventually resolved in some way, shape, or form. I think that's probably one of the more rarer tropes. Any other tropes that you can think of, Tony? Am I missing any here?
I think you got them, man.
I mean, those are the main ones I feel, and
Yeah, I
some of
do
the main
too.
movies that go along with it. And then the third thing that makes the romantic comedy is story structure. So, meet cute, the protagonists, like I said, they encounter each other often in a funny and awkward way. Developing attraction, they start growing closer through like shared experiences, forced proximity, whatnot. Conflict is one big one.
Right.
Right, there's always conflict, a misunderstanding, a personal issue threatens their relationship. Maybe she has to move to across the country for her job, or whatever it is. That's really popular in rom-coms. And then the breakup or the low point, right? The couple separates, and it leads to, emotional growth, some stepping forward of their relationship. That's in there. And then there's the grand gesture and reunion. Can you think about any of these? Like a grand gesture that somebody in a rom-com movie did to like win the love back of their person that they're at that low point or broke up?
I was just thinking of 13 Going on 30 when she, runs to his house and, he gets back out the old dream house he made for her. And, I feel like all these end up happening when there's another love interest, and the wedding stops like in Serendipity. And, it's like they're always out of time. And it's always like, like a 5-minute countdown, to whether it's to get to the airport or show up at midnight when
Yes.
Harry met Sally.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite scenes in the whole world.
That's the grand gesture.
Yeah, midnight, New Year's Eve.
Yeah. Yep.
You want the rest of your life to start right now.
If anybody has any objections to why this couple should not be joined in holy matrimony, please, forever hold your peace or say something. And then they come forward and it's embarrassing or awkward. But it's a grand gesture. And then the last one, and I know we're talking about rom-com, so I don't want to get weird about things. Happy endings.
Everyone loves a happy
Everyone
ending.
loves a happy ending. Tony especially likes a happy ending. The couple reconciles, often with humor and an emotional payoff. And that's after the grand gesture. And I think that's what we all root for. Yes? When
Yes.
you're watching a rom-com, like you're rooting for that couple.
Yes. It leaves you with hope. It leaves you with the idea that you can do it yourself, that you're going to have the happy ending.
Yes. And that Tony T's going to have a happy ending.
Yeah.
What's your favorite happy ending, Tony?
She's Out of My League is actually one of my
Good ending.
favorite movies.
Good, good.
That whole running to the airport thing.
Yes.
Speaking of airport running.
Yes. And that's the grand gesture in the reunion, followed by the happy ending, and Tony T has recognized it.
What about Pretty Woman?
Oh,
when she and even you fall in love with her with those red locks, and she puts her head out the window and does that classic Julia Roberts laugh, and then he's there with the umbrella, in the car,
can
limo.
I make a confession to you?
Yeah.
And Tony T here. If I saw Julia Roberts somewhere, I'd go to pieces.
Pieces, huh?
Pieces.
Wow. I think I'd go to pieces.
Tony T, she's so hot.
Yeah,
Julia Roberts.
She's proven the test of time.
Oh my God. I'd be mouth agape, and I don't think I'd be able to even mutter words. Seriously. Anyway, next thing in the that's a classic part of rom-coms. Subgenres and variations. So there's classic rom-coms, right? That's like When Harry Met Sally, Notting Hill, right? But then there's teen rom-coms. So 10 Things I Hate About You, To All the Boys I've Loved Before 13 Going on 30.
Right.
What else we got in that one?
She's all that.
She's All That, right? It's a great one.
Freddie Prinze Jr., come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dreamboat.
Yeah. Listen, he's a handsome man.
16 Candles.
16 Candles, right, is another one. Now, another variation and subgenre of the rom-com is the workplace rom-com, right?
Groundhog Day.
The Proposal.
2
weeks Notice.
2 weeks Notice.
What else we got, Tony T, in the workplace rom-com?
Office Space.
Listen, I'm sure there was some romance. There was some romance.
The whole stapler thing. Right?
Yeah, the stapler, the swing line stapler thing.
Dirty Dancing.
Right? But Dirty Dancing, it's a rom.
You're right.
It's not a rom-com, but either way, but still very well noted. Here's another subgenre and variation is the fantasy and sci-fi rom-coms. Right? So 13 Going on 30, believe it or not, that's a sci-fi rom-com when you think about it, because she's back in time, right? Like this type of thing.
Okay.
But whenever you talk about sci-fi, most people, if you're a sci-fi fan of things and you're applying it to the rom-com and this is your variation or your subgenre,
okay,
you're probably a weirdo. I was just going to say that. You're probably a weirdo. So, all right, next subgenre or variation would be dark or edgy rom-coms. Crazy Stupid Love, Days of Summer,
right,
things like that. Holiday rom-coms, and this gets into the Hallmark Christmas movie thing. Are you a fan of that stuff?
I do like that at times.
Do you really?
Yeah, now more than ever.
Mm-hmm. Handsome guy comes back to his town after a 20-year absence. He's a doctor now in some faraway place in Dubai. He's at the diner and he sees his ex-girlfriend from so many years ago.
Right.
And when he knew her and she knew him, he was a total geek. But now he's a doctor and he's rich, and he comes back and he gets off the plane and the snow is falling all over the place. Snow falling. It's like a snow globe all around. There's Christmassy stuff all over the place. And they have a romance. And holiday rom-coms. Love it.
Oh, you're so seductive, Paul.
I know.
You know what? I'm waxing poetic. That's me waxing poetic.
Yeah, you're waxing something.
I'm waxing something. I don't know. It is what it is. I like the holiday movies too. And in a past life, I was an actor, and I had a part in a movie, and Freddie Prinze Jr. was in it, and I was a limo driver.
Wow.
And
you got to meet him?
I didn't get to meet him, but I got to watch their scenes being done.
Okay.
And he was awesome, and in the movie, and it was really awesome. And the Christmas movies really, I kind of dig them. I don't know, maybe people, if you gun to my head and I'm in a different room of people,
right.
I might not admit that. But that's it. So
But I noticed the Christmas movies, especially like, the ones that are coming out on like, the Hallmark Channel, if that even still exists, but are all these women who are coming to help the guy, the reporter coming to do a story, or
Right.
or the marketing person helping to revamp the barbecue place with the secret recipe. It's these women now, helping these quiet, unassuming men who have forgot about love.
They're lost. They're they're wandering a desert of lovelessness.
Right.
But how about the last one? And just as a side note, why people love rom-coms. Why do you love rom-coms?
Because I feel that it's that forever hope of the fairy tale that it will work out.
Is your wedding going to be this? Are you getting married in a castle? What's Stephanie? What is going
Balloons
on
my
here?
head.
You're gonna have are you coming down from like a perch
I
and
am,
floating?
yeah.
Like what's going on?
I'm gonna be like Pink, at one of her concerts.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna the Circus Soleil.
Yes.
Yes. No. I'm doing the classic. Since this is I'm older and on the beach.
This is second.
Beach
This
wedding.
is second marriage.
This is a second marriage, and for me, I don't want any of the traditions. And I kind of despise when someone will say like, "Oh, you already did all that," but this is the first time I'm marrying, John. So
Yeah.
it's not the same thing. But I'm gonna have a beach wedding.
Really?
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
So it's going to be destination then.
No, it's in Long Branch,
Oh, okay. So
Long Branch, New Jersey.
are Tony and I invited to
Sure,
the wedding?
yeah,
Tony T and I.
yeah.
Tony T actually puts like $1,000 in the envelope when he goes to a wedding.
Right. So we're in New Jersey, and we're down the Jersey Shore. So yeah, that's what the New York, New Jersey thing is. When you go to a wedding, you pay for your plate, right?
Yeah. Wedding Crashers a rom-com?
Oh, I think it is.
I think so too.
I think so too.
Give it the nod.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, come on, you know.
So why people love rom-coms? Tony T, why do you love rom-coms?
Well, I guess it kind of puts you in a good state of mind, right? It kind of lets you reflect on things. You can relive some of your experiences, and you get a little chuckle out of them, right?
Oh, they're funny.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. Romantic. They're romantic and they're funny. Hence the rom-com. Escapism, lighthearted and feel-good storytelling, right? There's not a lot of the heavy things that are going on in the world right now. So they're a little light. They have relatable characters. Often portrays real-life romantic struggles, but deals with it coming from like a humorous vantage point. Which, sometimes we need that, right? We need to,
We do.
We need to figure that. And then, like Tony said, the emotional satisfaction, a mix of laughter, romance, and again, that elusive happy ending that Tony T loves so much. That's why we love rom-coms. That's it. And I feel like in the genre itself, how long has it been for you since you realized that, like, say, rom-coms were even like a thing? Because for me, it was only like, I don't know, not pretty recently. And it's almost like when you talk about movies, and that's what we do, that's our show. When you talk about these, you never truly, sometimes, like it took 1968's Night of the Living Dead. It took that movie to establish the zombie horror genre, right? When was it for you? Like, when was that? Like, you realized you're a fan of this genre?
Well, I think I realized I was a fan probably like 5 years ago. I mean, I always knew that I was a fan of the romantic movies, but then I realized it was comedies because, I think love has to have an element of laughter. Like we all take ourselves too seriously, and it's like go for the funny guy. Go for the guy who makes you laugh. Be with someone who makes you laugh, but you absolutely can't imagine being without them. So I always consider myself personally the most serious, responsible, hilarious person you'll ever meet. So I could be super fun and super serious. I take my life super seriously, but I still think it's all a joke. And I started thinking back about what shaped my idea of love. And I started looking at the movies that really did that. And what do I want now that when I got divorced and single again? And that's where I felt like I woke up 13 going on 30, like, holy cow. I was like, oh, I'm hot, I'm like, oh, wait, I'm hot and I could get guys. And I'm like, I woke up, I'm like, in my 40s and life was like out there in this opportunity. I went back to being that. Like that's why I chose Clueless when we were talking, because I went back to being that young, excited, full of life. I know we can make this work. I know the world is in front of me type of feeling.
You're hopeless romantic?
Hopeless romantic. And I'm not hopeless. I'm hopeful.
I see the pictures on social media, and I see you with your fiance, and I see you're in some restaurant, you're like doing a champagne toast,
Yes.
your lock arm at the hockey game, whatever.
Right.
I definitely see that, that's important to you. And, in our audience, many of the people out there are past their first marriage, like it's statistically speaking, it's over 50% divorced. I'm divorced. I'm engaged as well as you are. My fiance Wendy and I, we speak a lot about the concept of like the second marriage,
Okay.
because things are different a little bit. In the second time around, life has creeped in, there are kids that are not your kids, and, they,
Absolutely.
your fiance, your second husband has kids that aren't his kids as well. And there's so many different dynamics. Like, what of it for you?
Yeah, and I think even especially now, like planning a wedding, there's so many traditions, and there's nothing wrong with them. Like, I think they're important, but you start to find your own place, and you're past a lot of the BS, and you're like, what, this is what I really want. This is what's important to me and what's important to us. And you have to get over yourself a lot when you're older. Like, you can't be jealous. Like, you might have an ex-husband or someone that's going to be in your family because you do have children with them or whatever. And you have to, really just together decide what's important to you and what's going to matter. And your circle gets smaller and smaller as you get older.
True. And what about so when you get married for the first time, you in the lead up to it and everything, and it's like all the pomp and circumstances, the cultural, traditional things of it, and you have to have the wedding, you have to have the video,
Yes.
Or I remember I my first marriage, I was married in 1998.
Okay.
And one of the points of contention that we had at the time, remember this, is the video. They wanted like $1,500 or $2,000 for the video, and I'm like, I just don't, that seems like a lot of money, and I think it's a waste and whatever. And guess what? It is. And,
Yeah, I think differently.
No, well, but you look now.
I want the video.
No, but what about the one?
I didn't have it.
But
I didn't get it.
Oh,
I was
okay.
like you. I was like you.
No, we got it.
Oh, you got it.
And I was right.
I didn't get it.
No, I was right.
You're right.
I'm right. That's my point here, Stephanie, is that I'm right. Okay. And the video don't mean shit. And I would just say to you, make your own damn video.
I want the video now.
So you're kind of going back in reverse here,
Yes,
because I think
yes.
what normally happens is
We're both reversing them.
well, what you realize
Yeah.
is that the things in the first time around didn't mean as much as you maybe perhaps thought they did in the moment.
Exactly.
Now, Tony T, he's only married one time.
Oh.
So he's defied he's an odds buster.
Yeah.
He's defied the odds. And we're in the rom-com genre here, so this is really some hot stuff here. Some we got to know about. Tony T, what's the secret to staying married in your first marriage?
That is the question, right? And the answer is I don't know.
You just got lucky. It's like a coin flip, folks. Really, right? It's a 50% shot, right? Flip the coin.
Right.
That's your 50% odds.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you're asking the right guy here.
No, well, you are. You're happily married. You have a nice family.
Yeah.
A nice life and everything.
I've been with my wife since the late 80s, actually.
Wow.
Wow.
So you can't even remember a time perhaps when you weren't with your.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah. So for Stephanie and I, it's a whole different world. We made mistakes. We learn so many things. Not that we know more than anybody else, but we learned about the context of these things. And I think that today's day and age with like a second marriage, it really becomes different in a way. Just very, very different. When are you getting married?
August 23rd.
This August 23rd?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
shitballs.
Yes.
Are you getting nervous?
No.
Who's, where's the rehearsal dinner? Is there one?
I don't, what am I rehearsing?
I don't know. You got to rehearse the beach wedding.
Yeah, so I know it's so funny. Like I was saying earlier, like there's a lot of the things I'm like, I don't need those things. I'm going to show up. I'm going to say I do, and I am in love with love, and I said this the other day to someone. It's like if you have we have a favorite movie. No matter what, Serendipity has been my favorite movie before I got married for the first time. The second marriage, it stayed my favorite movie, so that doesn't change. So having a second marriage to me, the same thing with these rom-coms, is it's always marriage. I love marriage. I love the concept of committing yourself to someone and being with that one person and building a life and knowing that you have that person to go home to and say, oh, that was, a crappy day, or be that first call to say, and that's who I think you need to be with. And I think that's when the switch happens where maybe you have to leave a marriage, is if that person is not your first call and say, I want to share this amazing thing with you, so I'm super excited to get married again, because I never stopped loving love or marriage. I just realized, and like a lot of us do, that this isn't my forever.
And if there's ever a zombie apocalypse, you have like somebody who you like trust, right? That you can like navigate that thing.
Right. If there was a zombie apocalypse, that would be my first save.
That's the thing. It's like, that's the criteria is like, if I can do this with this person, we can get married. So, all right. Because, sometimes life is like a zombie apocalypse. I mean, it's tough out here these days, whatever. So, all right. So, let's see what we got here. Let me talk to you about some movie quotes.
Sure.
Okay, because I feel like in every single like movie or genre, or the quotes that are in it, kind of really make it up, and some of them, when you hear them, you're like, it's it just stays with you. It hits you a certain way, right? Some of these quotes. So I'm going to give you a few. Tony T, play along if you know the quote to this. I'm going to give it to you. Here's the first one. You ready?
Okay.
All right. I knew it the very first time I touched her. It was like coming home.
That's Sleepless in Seattle?
Yes, Sleepless in Seattle. All right. This is not necessarily a comedy, but I'll admit it's like probably one of my favorite movies like ever.
Okay.
And that's but here's the quote. You jump, I jump. Remember?
Oh, the Titanic.
Titanic, yes.
Yeah.
Tony, she's pretty good. I think as a guest, she's the
she
number
knows.
one guest so far. She's 2 for 2. It's 100%. Okay. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love means slowly losing your mind. Spoken haiku-like. What is that quote from?
Is it 27 Dresses?
That's it. 3 for 3. Ding, ding, ding. Okay. All right, I don't think you're going to get this one. I'm going to give it to you anyway. If you get it, I'll be really impressed. I'll fall off my chair. All right. It seems to me that love is everywhere. Often, it's not particularly dignified or newsworthy, but it's always there.
Oh, that's Love Actually.
Go!
Damn, she's good.
That's really good. That's
I love love. I told you I love love.
That's like 4 for 4. That's like 4 for 4. You know what? Too, I got to mess this up. You're the best thing I ever knew I needed. Tony T?
No.
The Princess and the Frog. I had to ruin
Princess
that.
and the Frog.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Who's
well,
the Princess and the Frog?
I don't even know the movie, to be honest with
Is that
you.
a cartoon or something?
Is that a Disney movie?
I don't even
That's
know.
a Disney movie.
It's gotta be a
That's
cartoon.
Disney movie.
Listen,
those don't count. Those have messed people up in the head.
I just wanted to ruin your perfect streak.
Obviously.
That was
I
really
knew
nice.
you weren't going to get that one,
was really
so
nice.
yeah. All right, here we go. You complete me.
No, you complete me.
No, you
Jerry
complete
Maguire.
Jerry Maguire. That's awesome. All right. The best love is the kind that awakens the soul. And this is a great, great movie. The Notebook.
The Notebook.
The Notebook.
Oh. I saw that on Broadway.
All right. Two last ones. To me, you are perfect. I guess you don't know that. Tony T? To me, you are perfect. To me, you really are perfect, Tony T.
I have no clue.
No clue. Love Actually.
Love Actually.
And here's the last one. After all, I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy asking him to love her.
I'm also just a girl standing in front of a boy asking him to love her.
Oh my God, that's a Julia Roberts.
Yes,
Oh, wait.
it is.
God.
You're on the right track. Tony T?
I mean, I don't.
This is another great movie.
Notting Hill.
Yeah,
Notting Hill.
Stephanie looked over and whispered it to me like they didn't hear her, and she was like taking her guess. Yes, that's the right guess. You have it. So I think she got a 6 out of 8 for a FlixPop Movie Club podcast 75% rating, which is like really, really tremendous. One of the highest ratings we've ever had on the show, Tony T. And Stefanie Shore is it. She knows about this stuff. So let me ask you a question outside of the quotes.
Okay.
What do you think is the highest grossing rom-com of all time?
I think.
You just take a guess. You don't have to give me the number, but I'll give you the number. You give me a guess. It's actually a movie that you're going to be surprised. So it's probably not. You're probably not going to get it, but. My Big Fat Creek Wedding.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
200.
They just made a second one, right?
Oh.
Or third, they're coming out, I think, even.
So this is the number one box office smash in the rom-com genre in history.
Wow.
And it's not even close. It's about 25% more than the nearest one, which is What Women Want. But My Big Fat Greek Wedding grossed $241,438,208 at the box office. The number 2 grossing movie of all time in the rom-com genre is What Women Want with $182 million. Number 3 is Hitch.
Hitch, okay.
And number 4, believe it or not that it's this low, is Pretty Woman. I just feel, like Pretty Woman should have, it seems like,
I'm sure everybody's bought the VHS and then
so
rented it.
When you adjust for inflation, because
Right.
Pretty Woman, literally that movie is 35 years old?
Probably.
35 years old. So that's it's just if you're a car and you're 35, you're an antique, and so that's that long ago. So in any case, I just wanted to go over that most grossing movies because. When I look at the genres and I break them down, I realize that it's not the most money-making genre. Like when you look at like action adventure movies or you look at horror movies, these are the type of movies that get the most money. Rom-coms are, I think, they're that way because they're skewed more towards women. Women enjoy these more than men. You agree?
I think so. I think it's also, when I think of rom-com, I think of something, like Netflix and chill, at home. So a lot of times people are like, I'll wait till it comes out and rent it,
Netflix and chill, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tony T, Netflix and chill, with your 35-year marriage, you guys still doing that?
Once in a while.
Yeah. When's the last time you did Netflix and chill?
Within the month.
Really?
Yeah.
Can we share details? No, just kidding. No, it's a family show, Tony. And your wife killed me probably, but
A lot of RuPaul and stuff
a lot of RuPaul involved.
You might be on the next road.
Yeah.
That's a whole other podcast,
On the
Tony.
next road out.
I'm walking out of the room a lot these days.
Ooh, that's cool. All right, so let's do this because I feel like in every single show that we do in the FlixPop Radio Movie Club podcast, we come to a consensus in terms of the top 5 and certainly the top 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you I'm going to go backwards from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'm going to do my 5, and then I'm going to get you to give us your 5, and then my 5 and your 5. We'll expand a little bit on it, and then at the end we'll come up with a consensus. That sounds good to you?
Sounds good.
Number 5.
Okay, I'm going to give you my first one. My number 5 is 13 going on 30. Unpopular schoolgirl Jenna Rink makes an unusual wish on her birthday. Miraculously, her wish comes true when the 13-year-old Jenna wakes up the next day as a 30-year-old woman. And after total humiliation at her 13th birthday party, she wants to just hide until she's 30. So thanks to some magic wishing dust, her prayer is answered. With a knockout body, a dream apartment, a fabulous wardrobe, an athlete boyfriend. That's the hockey player, Stephanie, that I mentioned before. That you guys were all like, I think you got the wrong movie. I didn't have the wrong movie.
There's no hockey in the movie.
No, but this is a hockey player. He's got a crooked nose. He got punched like 8 times.
5 minutes.
He was there for only 5 minutes, yes. But that's my number 5 rom-com, 13 going on 30. What say you? Give me number 5.
Well, number 5 for me would be When Harry Met Sally.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Number 4
is 50 First Dates.
Okay.
Imagine having to win over the girl of your dreams, the man of your dreams, but having to do that every single day. That's 50 First Dates.
I know. It's crazy. That's love.
That's the dilemma Henry Roth had after a multitude of one-night stands. He found them to be distasteful. And just a great movie. What is your number 4?
Pretty Woman.
Real. Okay, Pretty Woman. Julia Roberts, Richard Gere. That's the unlikely friends to lover. No, it's the disguise one trope, where they are, just making, pretending, and then they fall for each other at the end. So that's a great movie. Pretty Woman, the number 4 ranking grossing movie of all time in the rom-com genre.
Number 3.
Number 3, You've Got Mail. Book superstar magnate Joe Fox and independent bookshop owner Kathleen Kelly fall in love in the anonymity of the internet, right? So they're, he's trying to destroy her business on the internet, right? And now they're starting to write back and forth, and they start, and then they end up loving each other. Starring the Sleepless in Seattle stars Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks, they actually got together more times in rom-coms, I think, than anybody.
It's insane.
Isn't it insane? Like how, and that's that. Now they're superstars. They're superstars.
Oh yeah.
And Tom Hanks, not only in the rom-coms, but also in like the sports movie A League of Their Own.
Right.
A lot of people think that's the number 1 movie. A lot of people think the drama Forrest Gump is the number 1 movie. I mean, Tom Hanks.
He's done a lot.
He's the man. He really is the man. Yeah. And Meg Ryan ain't no slouch herself. To me, number 3, You've Got Mail. Worldwide gross over $250 million. Domestic gross $115. Release date 1998. And the opening weekend did almost $20 million. And at that time is huge money. What's your number 3?
13 going on 30.
Okay. So we have some similars in our thing. We just have them ranked a little different. 13 going on 30. Just really an awesome movie. And also in the sci-fi trope, as we determined earlier.
Number 2.
So my number,
I'm a little crazy.
Yeah, my number 2 is Pretty Woman. And look, if you haven't seen this movie, you're probably an alien or something, right? I mean, everybody has seen this movie. The prostitute and a wealthy businessman, they fall for one another, and they're really kind of an unlikely pair. But while he's on a business trip in Los Angeles, he makes a living buying and breaking up companies. He picks up a prostitute on a lark, and that's Julia Roberts.
Yeah.
Tony T, did I mention how much I love Julia Roberts?
A couple times, Paul.
Am I getting annoying with that, Stephanie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like unabashedly and unashamed of that.
Aw.
Do you have any what do they call? Do you have any hall passes?
I don't.
No, you guys haven't discussed this, and like if this person comes along, like Tom Hanks, listen, honey, I'm at the bar and Tom Hanks wants to take me home. Like, you allowed to do that?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the hall pass is a pretty interesting concept. It's been done all over the place. No?
I've heard of the hall pass.
You got a
yeah.
hall pass for anybody, Tony?
It was a pretty bad movie too, by the way, right?
Which one?
The Hall Pass, right?
The Hall Pass.
Yeah,
Bad.
it was a bad one.
Bad movie. Like, we don't even really mention that one. But yeah, terrible, terrible movie. That's for another show. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is an older one, Defending Your Life.
Tell us about Defending Your Life.
It's with Albert Brooks and Meryl Streep, and he gets hit by a bus, and he goes to this holding zone, and he has to review his life and defend his life, whether he should get into heaven or go back.
And is he persuasive in his argument?
He actually becomes a better person throughout this process.
Is he sent back to work on things, or is he admitted?
He gets to find love. He gets to go with Meryl Streep into oblivion.
Wow,
Yeah.
Meryl Streep. Tony.
She's
Meryl
an
Streep.
interesting one.
I love Meryl Streep, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really great. I'm going to watch that movie. I have to admit, I haven't seen it.
It's so amazing.
But it's number 2
One
on
of the
your
best
list.
movies
To me, it's a sleeper.
I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. So listen, you know what the chalk is, Stephanie?
What?
If I say you just gave us the chalk, do you know what that means?
Tell me.
That just means so if you're talking about top 5 rankings of something, right? Or you're gonna bet on the Super Bowl, right? And Kansas City's undefeated, and it's the lowest seed they're playing, right? The chalk pick for that game would be the Chiefs.
Okay.
Right? So when you talk about a top 5 picks in your genre, a lot of people will just give you the chalk. Okay? But what you just gave me is not the chalk. All right? That's stepping out a little bit. I'm definitely going to watch that. I haven't watched it, I have to admit.
Number 1.
Now let's go to the number 1s. Okay? You have a different one than I do, so it's going to be kind of hard to get to consensus, because my number 1 is actually your number 5. So we're way off. Stephanie and I, we're going to throw hands on this one. But for me, number 1 is When Harry Met Sally, 1977 college graduate Harry Burns and his Sally Albright share a contentious car ride from Chicago to New York, during which they argue about whether men and women can ever be truly, strictly platonic friends. Let's stop right there. Can this be? Can a man and a woman be just platonic friends? What do you think?
I think they can be, because I do have a friend that I've been friends with for 20-something years, but I think they can't have any attraction to each other. But then again, I don't know. Maybe they can't be. Maybe you think that. Maybe sometimes we think that we're not attracted, but the other person thinks you're like Jesse's girl. I'm not sure. But I think it is hard. I think overall, no. I think now that I said that, I'm very open-minded, so I'm willing to fall back on it. But yeah, I think it's a very hard thing, especially if they're two attractive people.
Yeah, I think so too. Tony T, can two people, man and a woman, or I know it's against the rules this day. I'll say it really quiet, but a man and a man, a woman and a woman. Can they just be platonic friends?
I mean, it happens, but I think it's not happening as much as it could be.
But I mean, we have people we're friendly with, and but like super close, go see a rom-com with. No.
I think there's going to be some lines, right?
There's some lines. We're friends,
Yes. So 10 years later, Harry and Sally meet again at a bookstore after that, right?
Yeah.
And in the company of their respective best friends, they attempt to stay friends without sex becoming an issue between them. And obviously they find it very difficult. North American box office, 92.8 million. Worldwide box office, 92.8 million. Guess what? That means nobody outside the United States really saw this movie, which is kind of weird. Budget for the movie, $16 million, Tony T. That's all.
Wow.
$16 million. Even though it only did 92.8 at the box office, it still made $75 million. That's kind of a nice haul.
Cha-ching.
Cha-ching. The movie was released July 14th, 1989. So it was a summer rom-com blockbuster distributed by Columbia Pictures. That's my number 1 for the rom-com genre. Stefanie Shore, what say you? Who is your number 1?
So my number 1 is Serendipity with John Cusack and Kate Beckinsale. You know, they. Do you want me to tell it?
Yeah, yeah. Give us the deal with it.
So it's there's a classic scene in that movie where they meet over those cashmere gloves that we talked about. They both want cashmere gloves, and they each end up with one. And John Cusack is supposed to get married again. He's supposed to marry someone he completely loves, but he can't stop thinking about her. And there's all these clues that they go back and forth with, and it's basically a movie about a couple who met by chance, and they shared this dessert at Serendipity 3, and they end up trying to find each other. He goes looking in this book, over and over again at bookstore, and then he finally gets her number right before he's about to get married, because his wife gives him that book. She goes, "I always see you," the one who's supposed to be his wife says, "I always see you looking at this book at every store." So she thinks this is the perfect pre-wedding gift. Right? We were talking about weddings, right?
Yeah,
Before the wedding,
yeah.
She gives him that groom's gift, and it's the book and her number's in it.
Oh.
So
That's better than getting an envelope with cash in it. Most people would argue that they'd rather have the cash, but the book, it's a nice sentiment. Tony?
So how did it end? I haven't seen the movie.
So basically, that she's supposed to marry
Spoiler
him
alert,
the next
spoiler
day,
alert.
and she gives him this book as the gift, and that's the book that he's been looking for all these years with her phone number, and he calls her, and they both end up finding each other.
That's the grand gesture,
Wow.
Yes.
right? That trope.
Yes.
This is also the cute meetup trope.
They meet up in Central Park. Because she left her jacket there, and he was holding onto the glove, and
Yeah.
rest is history.
But that's a great meetup story, in perfect example of that genre. So, folks, if you haven't seen it. Now, let's talk about the number one overall in the genre, because we have to come up with a consensus one. Tony T, give me your consensus of, if you have a top 5, I'll take it. But if you have a top 1, I'd like to know what that is, so Stephanie and I can consider this our decision.
It's old school versus new school, right? So Pretty Woman, yeah, right?
Yeah.
But 17 again, all those other stupid movies, right?
Yeah.
They're kind of the same, right? That was another one too.
It's
right?
formulaic.
I enjoy those too. I like the stupid stuff.
Do you have, if you had to, gun to your head, come up with a number one based on, you've heard Stephanie's top 5, you've heard my top 5, what would you say in this genre is the number one rom-com movie?
Well, yeah, it's Pretty Woman, right? I mean, obviously. That's the OG, right?
Stephanie doesn't agree with that.
I mean,
Stephanie
says
Serendipity.
Yeah.
I could be swayed towards Harry Met Sally. You know why? Because I was thinking of the scene. Everyone talks about, I'll have what she's having.
I'll have what she's having.
Because that's the funny part. But the best scene to me in that movie is when he says, when you meet the person you want to spend the rest of your life with, you want the rest of your life to start right now.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. Everyone wants love. And that's what all those running back scenes, those grand gestures, every single thing throughout these movies comes back to when you realize, when you have that aha moment that this is the person you want to be with, you want the rest of your life to start right now.
Absolutely. You're talking, it's hitting me. And if you're batting the movies around and you're just strictly looking at it from a genre standpoint, when Harry Met Sally has all the tropes, it has all of the things that you would want or expect in a romantic comedy movie. The North American box office was a smash. It was really great in terms of rom-com movies. It wasn't My Big Fat Greek Wedding or anything like that, but it was still really big and also a lot older. And what I always consider is that a movie that's what I call, or what, a movie club podcast best in genre film really is. It's a movie that busted the genre.
Yeah.
It's the movie that when people think of the drama, they think of that particular movie. And you're right. Even the scene.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah, right there. Oh. 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 Oh, God. Oh, yes. 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 Yes.
The scene, right? Most in all of the really iconic rom-com movies have a absolutely indelible scene in it where it is just defines the movie. And this scene actually defies not only the movie but the genre.
It does.
And that's
It really
I'll
does.
have what she's having. I got a prayer having you reenact that.
No, just kidding.
All right. I didn't know if she'd go with it, Tony T. I didn't know.
I might. I gotta start slamming the chair. I gotta. Where's the pastrami? Get me the pastrami.
Well, I'm sure they got the pastrami. All right. That's for sure. But so
That's the best. That's the best. And when you look at it that way, we all have our own personal movie that we love, but in terms of rom-com, hands down.
Okay, so let me give you guys 3 films that I feel like we've broken it down to.
Okay.
All right. The first one is Serendipity.
Okay.
All right. That we've really batted that one around. The other one is When Harry Met Sally, and then the other one is Pretty Woman.
Yes.
Out of those 3, can we come to a consensus as to what the FlixPop Movie Club Podcast Best in Genre pick is for people out there? Personally, for me, my argument simply is When Harry Met Sally, because of all of the things that define it as a movie in that genre. It really checks all the boxes. It really has the popularity. It has the box office. It has the story. It has all the tropes and everything. That's my case for When Harry Met Sally. You have one more chance to argue Pretty Woman.
I guess I'll go with you, Paul.
Yeah? You don't want to.
I mean, you broke it down pretty good.
Well, because Pretty Woman has a lot of it too.
Yeah.
And Serendipity has a lot of it too. These are big. These are like the heavies, really, of the
Right.
genre.
I think you're on the 3 though. I mean, those 3 definitely.
Those
define
3.
it. Yeah.
What about you? You get to break the tie here.
Well, I think so. I think, when we talk about the time we're living in, and I think that, yes, if you want the classic, perfect, checks all the boxes, you're going to go with Harry Met Sally. But Serendipity will make you believe in love again, and there's always a chance. And even at the last moment, you don't have to settle. You never have to settle for less. You could always find love again. It could be 20 years later, 30 years later. You have to keep believing in those happy accidents, those happy encounters where we meet someone. So I think it's kind of to make you come alive again and believe in that love. You got to watch Serendipity.
I'm definitely going to watch it again. And I feel like it's a great movie in terms of measuring up to even Pretty Woman. To me,
I'm not going to become a prostitute anytime soon.
No, you're not going to. All right. I was going to ask you, but you beat me to it. You saw where I was going with that. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and make the executive decision because, it is my show.
Yes.
And I do get the last word, even though I want to, I think that anybody out there listening is going to be like, yeah, I mean, they came to it. We batted it around. We analyzed it. We gave it every piece of diligence known to us in terms of movie fans. And folks, the FlixPop Radio Movie Club Podcast Best in Genre for the romantic comedy genre is When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah.
I think we come to the consensus. I think we did. That's great. And I'm gonna give number 2 to Serendipity because I feel like Stephanie being our guest, I want to give you a win more than just just doing the show. I really appreciate you being with us and doing this. But Harry Met Sally, number 2, Serendipity, number 3, Pretty Woman, number 4. 13 going on 30.
Okay.
And number 5, it's between You've Got Mail and 50 First Dates. And I think it's hands down got to be You've Got Mail. No? What do you think, Tony?
I'm a Sandler guy.
You're a Sandler guy?
I'm a Sandler guy too.
So
Come
we're gonna
on.
give- so we're gonna
He's
give-
the best of comedy.
So number 4 is 50 First Dates. And number 5 is going to be the You've Got Mail.
Okay.
That sound like a good list to you guys?
Yeah,
All right. We've accomplished something here today.
Yeah.
I agree.
And, the great thing about this podcast, right, is that in spite of what's going on out there in the world, which let's just face it, it's a shit show over there. It's not, Tony T and I, we had Rob Herrera on the show. We did the zombie apocalypse, and we determined and we came to the complete agreement that you need a goddamn zombie bag today, right? What's a zombie bag? That's like if all hell breaks loose, you have something to grab and get out of Dodge with, right? Your zombie bag. We called it the zombie bag. And that's what the world is like right now. And to have an hour or an hour and a half that we could just sit and shoot the breeze about a topic that has nothing to do with midgets, trans women in the military or whatever, all right, insert garbage here. That's all we hear about. The drones in the sky, their biggest cars. Tony T, help me out here.
I mean, hey, I'm just LIVIN, man. I'm living, bro.
Yeah, living.
Getting to the next day. How do you cope with all this stuff?
You know what? They say life is tragedy for those who feel and a comedy for those who think. And it's freaking funny, you know. That's the thing, you know. I find a lot of humor in it. I think it's so silly. I think we all take ourselves so seriously, and it's all theatrics, you know. Life is changing of the guards, and it's all theatrical. You know, nobody made this up. Who is this society? Who are these people? I still am looking to find out who
Them.
Who are they? They say. Who's they say? We're all living in a fake world that we all make up. You know,
life is like a box of chocolates.
Yes,
the immortal Tom Hanks, and as we determined, a multi genre acting star.
Oh my God! Just don't ever want to be Wilson with that ball.
No. I know. That's another genre right there. Is the on a desert, stranded on an island.
God.
He killed that one too. There was no one even to dialogue with or whatever. That guy's a great actor.
Yeah.
So Stefanie, we're kind of getting towards the end here. What would you like to say to our listeners if you had the chance? And are you selling anything? Are you you have any Stefanie's a public speaker. And Stefanie's podcast, the Reset with Stefanie Shore podcast, is about to get underway. We're doing the planning, the R&D, the research and development. We're working with the focus groups. We just had the focus group meeting last week, and they loved it. They had a couple little things that we're working out, tweaking, and everything. Tell us what the podcast is going to be about.
Yeah, so the podcast, is called the Reset because it's kind of like we're talking about this apocalypse and everything. Is you don't need to be stuck. You don't need to be stuck where you are. You can rewrite your story. You don't have to put yourself in a box. And the podcast is going to be having people on who are doing that, who are really making a difference in people's lives and taking themselves and helping, whether it's other businesses or other, health professionals or people who have a really big concept of doing things that matter. We talk about a bunch of garbage that we were just talking about that is going on in the world that we're focused on. But people's lives really matter. And finding who that is, that voice inside yourself, standing up for yourself and allowing yourself to do it with kindness, So people who are really kind, helping other people, listening to other people, and working with other people to allow people to be who they are at any given time and giving them grace and allowing them to reset.
What about the public speaking now? You have gigs coming up or anything? What are you doing with public speaking now?
Right now, I'm doing a lot of health and wellness speaking, helping women to be comfortable and gain confidence. And I'm going to be working with, I work with this organization called Wonder Girls, and I'm going to be speaking at a career expo, helping younger women, find their calling and what their path is to make that difference, whether it's being a nurse practitioner or, any type of field that will help other people. And I'm going to be on a few podcasts myself. Wake Up with Marcy Live, who always gives Wisdom Wednesdays. So there's a lot of wisdom and there's a lot to learn from people. Like we're talking about these movies that are been around for so long. I've had 25 years of experience in real life. It's not perfect. It's not perfect, but you know what? I'm having fun and I'm happy, and I think everyone deserves to be happy. And be lighthearted and still be that hopeless, happy, romantic, person.
How are you with doing interviews and stuff? Are you a good interviewer?
I think I could be. I think I could really get you talking about things that are important to you because I care. And I want to know who the real you is. I want to know what keeps you up at night, what, you've said so eloquently at times. What would you do right out of your sleep, 2 o'clock in the morning? What do you love? Why are you here? That's why I'm here today with you.
Right.
Like, this is my element, just connecting and talking about things that, make you feel good inside, make you feel warm.
Well, you're so comfortable, I can tell. You're going to be a smash.
Thank you.
I've actually been working, with Stefanie to get this podcast off the ground. I think you're going to do a great job. Your topic is going to be very interesting. And if you can find a way, to be, self-effacing while you give people who are in certain circumstances a relatable platform, you'll be successful. And there's no doubt about it. Your demeanor, on camera and, behind the mic is stellar for, somebody who has not had a podcast or something like that before. So for the people out there, if you want to invite Stefanie to be on your podcast, trust me, I did it. And she's a great guest. We're doing it right now. It's like a mirror looking inside a mirror.
Paul. You make it easy.
Tony T and I have been doing this for so long. Tony, how long have we been interviewing people?
Oof. Yeah, it's...
I mean, it's got to be like at least 10 years just you and me.
Yeah.
And I was doing it when I was 5 years old. I've been interviewing anybody who would listen to me or talk to me on camera.
Before it was cool.
Before
you got facial hair.
No, but you know what? That's a great point, Tony T, because there are people who adopt these things very much earlier than everybody else.
Right.
And when they do, let's face it, they're ostracized. Their motives are questioned. They're looked at like, what makes them qualified, right, or whatever. What about that?
Yeah.
People thought we were like pedophiles or whatever, right? Because we were like, videoing sports games and doing the commentary and the highlights. And 10 years later, everybody with the cell phone's doing the same thing, right? But at the time, I was like the devil.
Yeah, people thought we were kind of stalkers and stuff.
You know what I'm saying? It was kind of bad.
Why do I see you all the time? Well, because that's what we're doing, right?
No, but, the thing is that to put yourself out there, right? Especially when it's not a popular thing. Right now, do you know somebody, Tony T, do you know anybody in the world who doesn't have a podcast?
There's a lot. Yeah.
There's people. There's people.
Yeah.
Are there a lot of people?
If not, they have a self-help book.
Yeah, there are a lot of people. Yeah, people don't understand what it is, though, right? They're like, what are these podcasts, right? They don't realize any Joe Schmo like us can just kind of get some equipment and do this, right?
That's not true.
You know what I think, though? That I was speaking to a friend recently about this. She's a neurologist, and I was like, if people could listen to our phone conversations, that was like when I was like a young 13-year-old girl, like I would be on the phone for hours after school. You'd run home from school and you'd like do a recap of your day and what, John said to Becky and whatever, and you pass notes in school. This is our passing notes in school. This is like, that talk when you're like, oh my God, did you see what happened? First period. So, and you're like, wow, wouldn't it be so cool if you could put a bug on the wall and hear what they were saying? So we're just shooting the shit in a more organized way.
Yeah. And so, what do you think the first question everybody asks? And Tony and I were in the business, and we know a lot of people who are like podcasters, and we're part of like a lot of these groups and focus groups and things out there where people are coming into the industry and wanting the podcast. What do you think the first thing they want to know is when they want to have a podcast?
The first thing?
What's the first thing?
Well, I mean, you need content. You need a topic.
No. What do you think just in terms of you and I from our vantage point, when somebody starts talking about a podcast, I want to do a podcast, and they have questions. They're like, what about this? What about that? What's the first question that they always ask? They're always like, how much money will I make?
Yes. I was going to say that. I didn't.
You know what I'm saying? Right away, I stop the conversation. I'm like, here's a lollipop. Enjoy. It's a green apple flavor. Because this isn't like
That's awesome.
This isn't that thing.
Yeah.
And can you make money? Yes. Does Joe Rogan make money in his podcast? Yes. But to come onto the scene and have an idea, and you don't even have a podcast, and you're like, how much money am I gonna make? my best piece of advice for you is just count your blessings and cut your losses right now, and don't even do it because you're going to be frustrated, right? And I think that one of the major things about it is that, and that makes it hard, is that nobody that goes into it, they don't have a plan for a diligent schedule of consistency of their podcast or of their whatever it is, their radio show, their podcast. So they suffer from not enough enough recognition or enough exposure. You know what I mean?
Exposure is important, yeah.
Yeah, and but everywhere I look though, everybody's got a podcast. I think that's really, really great. Tony T's Roadshow is coming up. We're gonna be dropping that pretty soon and doing that. Tell us about that, Tony.
Well, we hit the music scene, right? So obviously we're musicians, right?
I love that.
We've been doing music for 30 plus years, but early 2000 we started, right? We were doing live webcasting, we called it back then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna kind of bring that back, man.
I'd be honest with you too. Like, I remember that, and I remember seeing it from afar and saying to myself, like, that Tony T, what the hell is he doing? Like, what is
we used to bring in
that?
full bands.
What is it?
And we used to let them play, and then we'd interview them. And we had touring national bands. This would be one of their stops, right? So we were doing that in 2000 too, right? People were like, wow.
In 2002, I mean, 23 years ago. That wasn't like even like pictures and was there even Facebook 23 in 2002? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
MySpace was
MySpace was still
I
roaring
liked
at
MySpace,
the
So we're old school, man. But yeah, I mean, there's a great world going on out here, and it's just some people are going to pop and make the big money, but you got to do it all, is what I say.
Yes, and if you want to be a guest on the FlixPop Radio Movie Club podcast, all you have to do is reach out to me, and the qualifications are you don't have to be a famous person or anything like that, but you do have to be a movie nut. And you do have to enjoy one genre over another and be able to kind of discuss that with us. And that's what we want to do. And if you would like to be a guest on that, please reach out and we'll see what we can do. I also encourage everybody to check out my radio show. It's called FlixPop Radio every Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on WGHT and WTBQ in Warwick, New York, 93.5 FM and 98.3 FM. So please tune into that. That is also about movies. And anything else we can think of here, Stephanie, before we let these people get back to their everyday lives? How do you consume podcasts yourself? Do you listen in the car? Do you sit down and actively watch it, or do you just like in passing and consume it in pieces?
I consume it in pieces.
Yeah, me too.
I do. I do it in the car, or like when I'm doing my hair or listening to other things. Like I do it simultaneously with something else.
Yeah. Okay. Depending on the podcast, right?
Depending on the podcast.
I got you. What about you?
I'm all over the map. Yeah. So driving, it's good, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But I like YouTube as well. I got a lot of guys I follow. I like to watch us.
You're the barbecue guy.
I'm a barbecue guy, car guy. I like all those types.
Car repairs, things like that.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing going on in the world.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really, really is. And I couldn't be more happy to be with you guys today. Stefanie Shore, nurse practitioner, and overall awesome person, podcast host, and everything. I really appreciate you being with us today. I'm going to get you on the radio show pretty soon. We'll do that. We'll do that thing as well coming up in the springtime. But FlixPop Radio Movie Podcast is brought to you by Officially Social, the FlixPop Radio Show on WGHT and WTBQ, the Reset with Stefanie Shore podcast, Greenwood Lake Marina, as well as Tony T's Road Show podcast. I want to thank our guest, Stefanie Shore, Tony T behind the glass. Couldn't do without you, my man.
Thank you, Paul.
Next week on FlixPop Radio Movie Club podcast, we'll discuss the sports movie genre with Ryan Goose Gossiker. So we'll see you guys next week on the big podcast. In the meantime,